Indiana, Minnesota, 7 o'clock East. Indy's -10, total 142.5. We cashed in on six more winning tickets on my premium page yesterday on Tuesday. The Hoosiers are 7-0 on the year. Minnesota just 4-4. And out of those 8 contests for the Gophers, well, they failed to cover in all of those games except for 2. It's a team who's having a tough time getting to the rack. Minnesota's in the bottom 30 in field goals made per game. That's bottom 30 in the entire country. And they're facing an Indy team who's definitely been tough to score points against. The Hoosiers are allowing only 62 points a game, top 10 in the nation in defensive field goal percentage. And out of these teams' last 9 head-to-head gatherings, it's been all Indy. 9 straight wins against the Golden Gophers. Hoosiers with unders in 3 out of their last 4. Minnesota contest went 5-2 to the under in their last 7. Give me the Hoosiers -10, under 142.5. LSU, Boston College, 7:15 Eastern start. LSU's -7, totals 146.5. Now the Tigers are 7-0 on the year. BC's just 4-4. And in those 8 ball games for the Eagles, they've got a losing record against the point spread. Definitely having a tough time on the offensive end of the floor. For one, BC's been little threat shooting the long ball, making only 27% of their attempts from beyond the arc this year. And no real surprise, BC's in the bottom 35 in field goals made. They're taking on an LSU team who's in the top 35 in blocks on defense, limiting opposing teams to just 38% shooting from the field. LSU with unders recently against Drake in New Orleans. Boston College games went 5-2 to the under in their last 7. Give me LSU -7, under 146.5. Clemson, Bama, 7:15 East. Alabama's -12, totals 166.5. The Tide's 5-2 on this season. Clemson's 7-1. The Tigers are allowing just 63 points per contest, tough against the deep ball. They're in the top 25 in the country in defensive three-point percentage. They're facing a Bama team on the other side who failed to cover against Gonzaga, Purdue, and North Dakota. Bama with unders against Purdue and North Dakota in those failures to cover. Clemson with unders this year against North Alabama, Morehead State, and New Hampshire. I like Clemson +12, under 166.5. Next matchup, Louisville, Arkansas. That's going to be a 7:15 Eastern start. Louisville's -3, totals 165.5. And even though the Cardinals are undefeated on the season, they've definitely beaten up on their fair share of cupcakes. They also failed to cover this year against the likes of the Ohio Bobcats and Jackson State. And they're traveling to an Arkansas team who's 5-2 on the year, winning record against the point spread. The Razorbacks are averaging over 88 points a game, top 10 in free throw shooting. Ryan Conwell, 20 points a game, 45% from long range. McNeely, Frew, and Hadley, they're all drilling well over 42% of their three-pointers combined. Hogs with overs against Jackson State and Southern. Cardinals with overs in 3 out of their last 6. I like Arkansas +3, over 165.5. All right, next game, Richmond, Belmont, 7:30 Eastern start. Belmont's -6, totals 155.5. And the Belmont Bruins are 8-0 on the year, winning record against the number. Belmont's averaging over 87 points a game. They're drilling double-digit three-pointers per contest. Tyler Lundblade, team leader in points per game, 90% from the stripe, 41% from three-land. And Sam Orme with over 15.5 points a game himself, 55% from the field. They're facing a Richmond squad who failed to cover in 3 out of their last 5. Failures to cover against the likes of Charlotte, Furman, and William and Mary. When it comes to the total, the Spiders saw overs in 3 out of their last 6. Belmont with overs against Charleston and Tennessee State. I like Belmont -6, over 155.5. All right, next game, UNBC, Georgetown, 8 o'clock Eastern start. Georgetown's minus 18, totals 149.5. And even though the Hoyas are 5-2 on the year, they did fail to cover in all of those contests except 2. When it comes to shooting the deep ball, well, the Hoyas have been little threat shooting it from three-land. They're drilling only 28% of their attempts from downtown, and they're facing a 5-2 UNBC squad who's definitely played some tough defense. They're allowing only 68 points a game, rarely sending shooters to the foul line. The Retrievers give up just 9 made free throws a game, only 5.13 balls a night. Retrievers with unders in 4 out of their last 5 qualifying ball games. Georgetown with unders recently against Miami and Maryland. I like UNBC plus 18, under 149.5. All right, next matchup, Northwestern taking on Wisconsin. That'll be a 9 o'clock Eastern start. Wisconsin's minus 10, totals 154.5. The Badgers are 5-2 on the year, but they definitely had their issues covering the point spread. Wisconsin failed to cover in 3 out of their last 4, definitely with troubles guarding the deep ball. The Badgers are in the bottom 30 in defensive three-point percentage. And unfortunately for them, they're taking on a 5-2 Northwestern squad who rarely turns it over on offense. They're a top 25 field goal shooting team. Nick Martinelli with over 20.5 points a game, 10 of 13 from beyond the arc. And Arrington Page, he's averaging 15 points a game himself, 60% from the field. Cats with overs in their last 5 straight. Badger games went 5-2 to the over in their last 7. I like Northwestern plus 10. Over 154.5. All right, next matchup, Cal Baptist taking on BYU. That's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start. BYU's minus 21, totals 150 and a hook. The Cougs are 6-1 on the year, winning record against the point spread. And when it comes to defensive play, the Cougs limit their opponents to just 69 points a game, 41% from the field. They're facing a Cal Baptist team who's been little threat shooting the long ball. Currently in the bottom 30 in 3 balls made per game. When it comes to the point spread, the Lancers failed to cover this year against Grambling and Western Illinois. Lancers with unders in all of their contests except 1. BYU games went 4-3 to the under in their last 7. I like BYU minus 21, under 150.5. All right, next game, Virginia taking on Texas, 9:15 East. The Longhorns are 2.5, totals 149 and a hook. And I'll tell you what, both schools with 6 wins on the year, respectively. Both squads with winning records against the point spread as well. Of course, when it comes to offensive production, we're looking at 2 squads who have little problems getting on the scoreboard. For Texas, they're averaging 91 points a game, 51% from the field. Simeon Walker shoots 45% from three-land, 93% from the stripe. And big 7-foot Matas Vokietitis, 15.5 points per contest, 71% shooting from the field. And they're facing a Virginia squad who averages 88 points a game themselves. They rarely turn the ball over. Thais DeRitter, he's averaging 18 points a game, 44% from three-land. Meanwhile, Mallory, Lewis, and White, they're all drilling over 42% of their long balls combined. Now, total-wise, both schools with overs in 3 out of their last 4 qualifying ball games, respectively. When it comes to a winner, this game's being featured as today's Gold Club pick on my premium page. But as far as a free play, I like the over 149.5. SMU Vanderbilt, 9:15 Eastern start. Vandy's minus 11.5. Total is 167 and a hook. And even though the Commodores are 8-0 to start off the year, they did fail to cover the point spread in 3 out of their last 5. Failures to cover against the likes of Western Kentucky, Texas Southern, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. And aside from giving up 74 points a game, they've definitely run into a ton of foul trouble. They're in the bottom 10 in the nation in free throws allowed per game. And that could mean good news for SMU fans because these guys like to get to the line a whole bunch. They're in the top 10 in the nation in free throws made per game. And aside from averaging 92 points per contest, they've also done a nice job getting second chances. The Mustangs are a top 25 offensive rebounding team. Boopy Miller, 21 points a game, 91% from the stripe, 45% from three-land. And Jerron Pierre is averaging over 18 points a game himself. SMU with overs in 3 out of their last 6. Vandy games are 6-2 to the over for the entire season. I like SMU plus 11.5, over 167.5. All right, next game, Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, 9:15 East. Mississippi State's -3, totals 149.5. And I tell you what, not a particularly great spot for Bulldogs bettors. It's a team laying a basket on the road. And they're just 3-4 overall for the season. And when it comes to the point spread, well, Mississippi State failed to cover in all 7 of their games this year. They're still in search of their first cover of the season. The Bulldogs shoot just 67% from the stripe. Bottom 30 in blocked shots per game on offense. Having a tough time getting shots off. They're taking on a 5-3 Georgia Tech team who's in the top 25 and fewest points allowed. Definitely making it real tough for opposing shooters. The Yellow Jackets are holding opposing schools to just 38% from the field, 26% from three-land. Georgia Tech games are 5-3 to the under this year. Mississippi State with unders against New Orleans, Southeast Louisiana, and North Alabama. I like Georgia Tech plus 3, under 149.5. Next matchup, NC State taking on Auburn. That's going to be a 9:15 Eastern start. Auburn's -7, totals 165.5. Both schools with a handful of wins on the year, respectively. Both have winning records against the point spread. When it comes to offensive production, we're looking at 2 programs they've got their fair share of scores. You know, for Auburn, they're averaging nearly 90 points a game, top 10 in fewest turnovers. Keyshawn Hall's averaging over 20.5 points a game, 89% from the stripe, 40% from three-land. And Keshawn Murphy, double-digit points a game for him, 66% from the field. Meanwhile, the Wolfpack on the other side, they're a top 25 field goal shooting team, actually drilling over 42% of their long balls as a program. Darian Williams, over 18.5 points a game, 54% from long range. Meanwhile, Copeland, Lubin, and Holloman, they're making over 50% of their three-pointers combined. Wolfpack with overs in 5 out of their last 7. Auburn with overs in all of their games except 1. When it comes to selecting a winner, we're actually letting Brock Page Nation decide this one. This game's being featured as today's daily consensus poll on my premium page. And as far as making a free pick is concerned, I like the over 165.5. Next contest, Vermont taking on Oregon State, 9:30 Eastern tip. Oregon State's -3, totals 146.5. The Beavs are just 3-5 on the year, failed to cover in all of those contests except for 1. When it comes to offensive play, the Beavers have definitely struggled getting to the basket. They rank 308th in field goals made per game. And they're facing a Vermont team who's definitely had little problems offensively this year themselves. The Catamounts make over 50% of their field goals, double-digit three-pointers a game. TJ Long with over 17.5 points per contest. TJ Hurley with 14 points a game himself. 93% from the foul line, 42% from beyond the arc. Vermont with overs in all of their games except 1. Oregon State games went 5-2 to the over in their last 7. I like Vermont plus 3, over 146.5. Utah Valley, San Diego State, 10 o'clock East. The Aztecs are -9, totals 144.5. And even though San Diego State's favored by nearly double digits, they're actually playing just 500 basketball in the year. When it comes to the point spread, they failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5. And a big problem for the Aztecs, well, it's been defensive play. They're allowing nearly 80 points a game, bottom 10 in 3 balls allowed. And even though you might not know much about Utah Valley, It's a team who got the W in 4 out of their last 5 contests. They've been explosive on the offensive end of the court. The Wolverines are in the top 10 in the nation in field goals, making nearly 54% of those attempts from the field. Jackson Holcomb, team leader in scoring, 58% from the field. Hendricks and Lenhart, they're drilling over 50% of their three-pointers combined. Utah Valley with overs against UC Irvine and Boise State. San Diego State with overs in 3 out of their last 4 themselves. I like Utah Valley +9, over 144.5. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. UCLA taking on Washington, 11 o'clock Eastern start. Washington's -1.5, totals 141 and a hook. And both squads are 5-2 on the year. Handful of guys who are banged up. For Washington, Steinbach and Tucker are questionable. Meanwhile, for UCLA, Dent, Bilodeau, and Manjikian are questionable for them. Of course, defensively, both squads have been definitely tough to score points against. For Washington, they're limiting opposing shooters to just 40% from the field. Meanwhile, UCLA is in the top 15 in fewest points allowed. Now, when it comes to the total, both schools with unders in 3 out of their last 5, respectively. When it comes to selecting a winner in this one, this game's being featured as today's college basketball tier package play on my premium page. But as far as making a free pick is concerned, I like the under 141.5. And with that, folks, now it's time for our quick pick recap. I like Illinois Chicago -18, under 162. Tennessee Tech +11, over 151. We cashed in on 6 more games on my premium page yesterday on Tuesday. I like Northeastern -6, over 145. Wright State +4, over 144. Dartmouth -9, under 149. Akron -22, over 162. Southern Miss +3, over 153. Cornell +6, over 152. West Virginia -31, under 134. Western Michigan -6.5, under 155. Florida International +2, under 151. Elon +3.5, over 151. Indiana -10, under 142.5. Navy -11, over 133. Maine +11.5, over 136. Presbyterian +6, over 139. Central Connecticut State +17, under 133. Northern Kentucky -10.5, over 156. UNC Wilmington -8, over 150. UT Rio Grande Valley +7, over 150. IU-INDY +5, over 170. Harvard +5, over 142. Southern Illinois +10, over 161. American -4, under 140. Coastal Carolina +1.5, under 146. Lamar -8.5, under 129. Purdue Fort Wayne +8, over 161. Austin Peay +9.5, over 156. James Madison -15, over 151. Louisiana Tech +3, under 144. Loyola Maryland +6, under 141. Queens College -14, over 161. Columbia -1.5, over 144. Mount St. Mary's +3, under 153. LSU -7, under 146.5. Clemson +12, under 166 and a hook. Arkansas +3, over 165.5. Mississippi Valley State +12, over 152. Central Arkansas -1.5, over 140. Belmont -6, over 155.5. New Orleans +17.5, under 155. Illinois State -13, under 156. Northern Colorado -1.5, over 158. Evansville -7, under 138. Idaho State -5, over 140. Iowa State -40, over 151. Montana, is that what we have here? Didn't put enough juice on that one. I believe it's Montana. I'll have to double check on that. Montana -4.5, under 143. UNBC +18, under 149.5. Portland State -2 over 158. Tennessee State -3 over 147. Northern Arizona +3 over 149. Northwestern +10 over 154 and a hook. Texas State +3.5 under 136. Montana -2. Okay, so the original one was Monmouth. Monmouth -4.5 under 143. Montana -2 under 154. BYU -21 under 150 and a hat. Weber State -8 over 157. Pacific -4.5 over 133. Idaho -9 over 152. Eastern Washington +3.5 over 153. Montana State -2 over 147. I like the over 149.5 in that Virginia Texas game. SMU +11.5 over 167 and a hook. Georgia Tech +3 under 149.5. Give me the over 165.5 in that NC State Auburn game. Vermont +3 over 146 and a hook. Utah Valley +9 over 144.5. San Francisco -14 over 144. Santa Clara -19 over 145. And give me the under 141.5 in that UCLA Washington game. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium page. And just a friendly reminder, if you do end up getting a membership, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships during that time frame, absolutely free. Going to be included with your membership. But most importantly, folks, got to thank you for joining me right here on the free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, folks, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium page.